Hi, I'm Divya from the Center for Public Impact. I have with me Pauline from Breakthrough. Breakthrough has worked on the prevention of gender-based discrimination and violence for around 25 years. So, Pauline, share a bit more about Breakthrough's approach of working with adolescents on the prevention of gender-based discrimination and violence.
Thank you, Divya. So with Breakthrough, we've been working on domestic violence. And in 2015, during our course of the work and UNICEF's report that had come out, there was a clear linkage between gender-based discrimination, violence, early marriage, and domestic violence. So that was around the time that we also began to gather insights from our experience, and we realized that that's an intersection that we definitely want to work on because it was very clear from our experience as well as others in the sector that gender-based discrimination leads to gender-based violence, and therefore because we work at the prevention, it's important to bring in adolescents into that conversation. So that was when we began to work with adolescents, work with the connection of gender-based discrimination and violence and look at the prevention. We've worked very intentionally on our Bystander campaign as well, adding to our work with men and boys when we were working on domestic violence, bringing that lens into our adolescents' work, where when we were talking to them about prevention, we were also talking to the adolescent boys about how can they be aware of the discrimination, be aware of how to raise their voices against discrimination, and work towards preventing gender-based discrimination and violence as well.
Thanks, Pauline. More recently, Breakthrough has started working with the government of Punjab and Orissa. Tell us a little bit more about how you've scaled up your programs, how it is to work with governments on the prevention of gender-based violence and discrimination.
So we've taken our work from what we were doing so far in our communities, and we realized that if we want a generational shift, then being able to work with a larger set of audiences, a larger set of adolescents would be more impactful. And therefore, that is something that led us to scale up the kind of work that we've been doing in our geographical areas to work with the education system, which means that at the state level and at the district and block levels as well, we are working with the officials, we are working with the education system, so the teachers, the students, in enabling and creating a gender equitable education system, gender inclusive education system, addressing gender-based violence and preventing at that level as well, and readying these adolescents to be able to contribute to that generational shift, to understand, to recognize, to raise their voices and prevent gender-based violence within their schools and in their communities, support their peers as well in the process. So that is something that we are doing in partnership with the Orissa and the Punjab state governments.
Thank you, Pauline. Given your work on bystander intervention, what is your message for the audience on what they can do to prevent gender-based discrimination and violence in their lives?
Thank you, Divya, for that question. And that's been a critical bit for us at Breakthrough. So we clearly work on bystander intervention. We have campaigns from, starting from Bell Bajao that were addressing how to intervene and stop domestic violence, especially with people like men and boys. So those are some things that are critical. We have the most recent campaign, which is Ignore No More. And all of it is about raising our voices. So as individuals, raising our voices when we see any gender-based discrimination or violence, calling it out, as bystanders, intervening, taking action to stop that incidence. If we feel unsafe, keeping numbers handy, having information about helplines that can be reached out. To be also, if there is someone that we see facing these kinds of discrimination or violence, sharing that information with them. So those are definitely the three things that we can do. One is to call out when we witness anything of this nature. Second is be able to intervene and stop. And third is to share information about services to people who might be experiencing different forms of violence or discrimination to stop that from happening.
Thank you so much, Pauline. More power to all those working to end gender-based discrimination and violence. Thank you so much.
Thank you.